Welcome back everyone. So today we are going to see about the architecture of ODOO. So before going into the architecture of ODOO and how it works, we have to see the basics of a web server. So what is a web server? So web server is basically what handles the request that is come from the client, which is the browser. So I'll just show you an architecture diagram. So what happens is in every web application, client sends a request to the server, which is a browser request is sent to the server, and the server gets to decide what action to be done. So based on that, it will be pulling the data from the database, or it might just load a static HTML page, or it might just combine the data and the HTML content and render it as a dynamic page and send it back to the client. I'll just explain you once again. What happens is the client, that is the browser, sends a request to the server. The server gets to decide what action has to be done, and it performs certain actions and returns you the output. That is what you see it as a web page. This is how it works on every web server basically. If it is Apache or IIS, or for an application that is developed in PHP or ASP or any language for that matter. So, how ODOO does it? ODOO follows the same architecture, but there is a slight difference. What happens is, for example, if you are loading the res users, which is basically the users of the ODOO, and if you are opening the form, what happens is the request is sent from the browser to the ODOO server. The ODOO server just goes to the database, picks the views, XML views in the database for that particular model, and also picks the data for the particular user that you have opened and sends it back. And in the client, that is the browser, that is where the magic happens. What happens is the XML views are sent as XMLs, and the data is sent as JSON. And what happens is the JavaScript in the browser converts the XML views and puts the data according to the particular field and fills it up and shows you. Let me just explain once again. The client request is sent to the server, ODOO server. ODOO server gets to decide what action has to be done. So basically what ODOO server does is it goes to the database, picks the XML views related to the model and the view type, picks the views, sends it back to this client, picks the data related to that views, sends it back to the client. In the JavaScript in the client browser, renders the XMLs into HTMLs, and the data are put back onto the HTML views. So what basically does is the JavaScript in the browser converts the XML into HTML and combines with the data and shows you. This is how the architecture of ODOO works. If you get a hold of this, you can understand ODOO pretty easily. So everything that happens in ODOO goes from the database. Hope you understand the architecture of ODOO. Thanks for joining.